Today is Wednesday, December 19th, 2018. Welcome to the Survivor Fans Podcast. I'm Joanne.
And I'm Stacy.
And this is our recap of the finale of Survivor David versus Goliath.
This episode was titled "With Great Power Comes Great Responsibility." That was spoken by Nick. He got the last title of the season.
Yay!
I know it as a quote from Spider-Man, but it's been referenced multiple times in slightly different phrasings back through hundreds of years, because there's a truism to it. Yeah. What did you think about Probst in the tennis shoes and the sweater? He was very casual, wasn't he?
Yes, he was very casual.
Yeah, kind of laid back.
He just looked like Probst.
We're going to talk about the whole thing, sort of beginning to end, but I liked how he said hello to the early folks, and then he said hello to the jury, and then he said hello.
Skipping ahead.
Skipping ahead of what? That's what came next after seeing Probst in his tennis shoes. No, this is the beginning.
Oh, okay.
You're turned around. This is in the beginning when he came in his tennis shoes and his sweater, and then he said hello to the early vote outs.
Yes, but I thought you were talking about the reunion show.
Okay. We're going to shoot for chronological. That'll help sort of guide you along the way.
I don't know if I can do that.
It's an idea.
I won't promise that. I can't make promises I can't keep.
Totally believe that.
I actually like the reunion show. I just had to put that out there.
Okay, we'll get there.
Okay.
But I like that he said that. I like that he said thanks to the parents for letting the kids stay up late to watch. Good move, smart move, acknowledging the parents and how it is a big family affair. And we learned that Davey's been watching since he was 8, which seemed to catch Davey off guard. He's done some funny blinking thing when he got mentioned. I don't know if the fire was blowing up in his eyes or what.
Well, he might have spaced out for a second and then heard his name and what'd he say? I've done that.
Season 37, well, they give a quick recap, and then it's really down to the meat of it. There's 4 Goliaths. There's 2 Davids left. It's day 36.
Boy, those were some long days, weren't they? It's like, wow, it's still day 36.
Yeah, in terms of the amount of activity that gets packed in.
Yeah.
So Davey's up and awake at dawn. So's Mike for a change. Surprising.
Yeah.
Nick's up. Hey, wait a second. Everybody's up. Allison, Kara, they're all up. Angelina, they're all up and searching. And I got to say, I was a bit disappointed at what happened next.
Angelina gets a clue.
That's right. She got a clue. At first I thought, oh, it's the idol, but no, it's a clue. But it was an interesting twist how it worked, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the whole ladder and having to dig up the ladder.
Yeah, that was kind of cool.
I thought, wow.
Do you risk going for it in daylight and all that? So it was interesting to see how it played out, even if it was Angelina that found it.
Well, once she lost the clue.
That was great.
She didn't have much choice.
Yeah.
So, because somebody else could find it and run and get it ahead of her,
it did sort of force her hand a bit, didn't it?
Yeah. Okay.
And she interpreted it to mean that she needed to get on top of the rock since she was provided a ladder.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we get there. But
she gets that ladder and then promptly hides it. And by the time she goes to the well, she realizes, like you were just saying, that she had lost that clue. So it's a mad dash over to the hidden ladder and now up climbing.
So she really didn't know exactly what it said, I don't think.
No, she didn't. She never understood the clue.
No, because she didn't need to go all the way up there. Her whole
a good 100 feet
trip.
Yes.
Or 150.
Literally risking her life.
Yes.
Oh, gosh.
I was like...
That's classic Angelina, though. So
well, I can't say anything because I'm afraid of heights.
From that perspective, it was worth it that she found it, because we got more of this. We got more of Angelina leaning into her story.
Then she comes back down to the well and sees Nick
After she
and
got
Davy.
stuck.
Yeah, Nick and Davy there, and puts on this entire act
Charade.
for
Yes.
everyone, as it turns out, pretending to fall
Crying.
and cry. And
Yep.
I wonder how they all felt when they saw that she was, of course, she told them before that, at the end, but that it was all a lie. But I thought, oh my goodness.
Even had Dr. Allison check her out. Yep. So.
And then laughing about it.
Now, was it a good cover story? Did you think that was strong gameplay?
Well,
or did it feel like just
she
another
did keep them from
piece of
going and
evidence?
looking, because she said she was lightheaded and she asked them to stay with her.
Mm-hmm.
So it did kind of stop them from continuing to look for the idol, at least for a while.
If she can't look, neither will they. Yep.
Yeah, I just thought that
So
I don't think it
was
did her any
effective.
good in the end.
You think that was effective, at least in the moment, we'll say.
In the moment, but it seemed a little over the top to me.
All right, on to the first immunity challenge.
Oh, 63-piece puzzle.
After the obstacle
Man.
course, yeah.
That's,
But a spaghetti dinner, mm-hmm.
Well, it's nice that they're accommodating the vegetarians also.
Yeah, which they've done all through the season, so.
Yeah, they have.
Yep.
This is the first season that they've been as conscious, I think, about it.
Can you imagine Angelina not letting them know?
No, but other people have, and
this
it
is
didn't
me
matter.
guessing, but you kind of think she might be one of those vegans that tries to make you feel bad for not being a vegan, and that there's something better about her
I
because
don't
she's made
have
that choice.
anything to base that kind of statement on.
I'm
so.
just willing to go out on a limb.
Yeah.
After she climbed up 150 feet
I think
in search of the
your
idol.
limb could crack, so you might want to be careful.
No, I think there's
Okay.
enough circumstantial evidence to suggest it may
Well,
be a
if
possibility.
nothing else, she could have had the bread and cake.
Yeah,
That
cake.
looked like a huge, tall cake, too. And like it might have had some kind of fruit-type feeling in it. or something. I didn't see
Davy
it.
and Nick are through the obstacles quick and start tossing the old monkey fist. I like that when they use that the knot that's made out of the rope itself, and so the rope's still attached. So, yeah.
Yep, I wouldn't like that, but to actually do it with those, I think they're hard to throw.
To throw? Oh yeah, you could see that by Mike's first throw.
It's-
He exemplified the difficulty
And
of this
Allison.
arrangement. Well,
Even Nick
she
had
just-
a lot of trouble.
she just can't flat out throw. So
Yeah, well, that wasn't one of the skills she learned in medical school. And on the schoolyard playground either. so-
yeah, right. I'm surprised she didn't get some softball in or something like that. But okay.
Okay, they have to put the get the puzzle pieces and then put the steps together, solving that puzzle
So
before they even
the
get to the top.
Staircase
To
is
the big puzzle.
A puzzle, yeah.
It's like, oh
So
my
It's
goodness.
a testing your visualization skills for sure. With,
Oh, yeah.
It was at least three
And
different
memory.
sizes there. There might have been more in terms
Well,
of the
in
shapes
different
of the
orders
circles.
and where it was, and you had to memorize it, go back, find it, and then bring it back.
Yeah, there's like 6 different elements to each step that you had to match up. So that was good too. Yep.
Yeah, it was an awesome challenge.
Kara already had 4 steps down by the time Allison finally released her steps.
Yeah. And Kara was the first one to get to the puzzle
Yeah,
and start
started
the
work on it.
63-piece puzzle. Davey got there second, and then Mike, then Angelina, Nick, and Allison.
Finally, Allison. Yep.
And of course, I was cheering for Nick because you had Nick going home first.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's why you were cheering for him? Because I had him
No,
going
because
first?
I had him to win.
Ah, okay.
And
A little bit
I
of
wanted
both, I
you to
think.
be wrong, of course,
Yeah.
because otherwise I would be wrong
Yes.
right off the bat. So I was cheering Nick on.
Probst makes sure to tell him. He gives hints out nowadays. I don't know that he used to do this, but he's pretty clear the logo of the puzzle is the same one on your buff. What's interesting, though, is that the edges weren't solid, straight. So you didn't
They
have that.
weren't squared off.
You didn't have that advantage where the edges would all be straight lines, because there's some portions of the edge that are in the place where you solve the puzzle that are just fixed in place.
Like I said, it's not Not squared
So
off.
it really did make sense to work, I think, more from the inside out since you knew the logo.
Well, yeah, and they all seem to find that much easier to fit the pieces together because those were the more, well, no, some of the outer ones were fairly complicated too, but at least you had some clue that, there was a corner piece or something, but not a lot, not like usual.
Started off with Kara and Angelina leading, and then Probst tells us that Nick and Allison were actually slowing down a little bit. And then Nick found it. He just kicked it into high gear.
Nick, is because I was cheering for him.
Mm-hmm. Or because Probst said that he was slowing down. It gave him a little kick in the butt. And he gets to it and actually solves it.
He wins.
As Probst described, an amazing come-from-behind win for him.
And I was so loud I ran the cat off.
Yes, you did. You scared Zed.
Oh, well, sorry, buddy. Okay.
And it was exciting to see him win. That was a great...
Oh, yeah.
Great way to do it.
Or to see anybody come back from that far behind.
Yeah.
But I thought he could do it because he's good at puzzles. But that was awesome, and I very much enjoyed it.
What did you think about Davey volunteering not to be chosen?
That's exactly what I was about to ask you.
Okay.
I thought that was strange somehow, but I thought, well, maybe he's hoping that Nick can make some alliances, and he's confident enough that he and Nick were together that he wanted to bring somebody else over. So he wanted to give him the opportunity to do that with two people.
It's a tough position to be in. You're at Final Six, and then you feel outnumbered because there are 4 Goliaths. So what you're saying makes sense, but at the same time, you really want every advantage you can give yourself at this point.
You do, but I think
having food and being powered up for the next challenge is going to be important too.
But pretty much if he or Nick didn't win, they were probably going to be on the chopping blocks, what they were thinking. So they needed to get numbers worse than he needed food, I guess.
That's one way to look at it. I'd say that's one of those classic mental challenges that you face in the game. Well,
I felt like he really meant what he said.
Yeah, he seemed genuine. He didn't seem to be hiding anything by it, because he said in the confessional
you don't owe
that
me
he trusted Nick at this point.
So he chooses Mike, which if he's going to court those two people, that's a good thing.
Actually, we didn't mention it, but he chose Angelina first because she was close, right?
Yep.
And then Mike, who offered himself up as also a vegetarian.
Yes, I won't eat your part of it.
But the Jabini tribe reunited there is basically what we got. Okay,
and guess where the food was set up at?
Well, just before we get to that, what about Allison? And this has really been hurting her, hasn't it?
She
can't get any momentum.
The cry fest, poor Allison.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you can't blame her. I mean, that does beat you down. Nobody will take me to eat.
She said she's still smiling, but I didn't see it.
She was trying to smile through her tears.
Yeah, I want to give production kudos for putting that reward right there where the hidden immunity idol actually is. So it put her in it gave her that opportunity or that dilemma, however you want to look at it.
I liked it.
Yeah, it was a good choice.
And Davy's hoping that it's going to be Allison and not him, but they're both thinking, well, it's one of us.
I like when Angelina started her war talk again, and Mike interrupted and said, well, can we have cake first? Angelina, we're going to war. Mike, can we have cake first? That was great. That was classic Mike.
You're my two boys, she said. So Nick wants to go for Allison, and Angelina's totally on board with that.
Yeah.
And
she's had a grudge against her ever since Allison called her out for the Elizabeth thing. So there's a debt that Angelina's been looking to repay for quite a while.
But Mike, on the other hand, says, yeah, but he doesn't mean it because he really wants Davy out. Then Angelina tells him, I found the clue. You can't tell anyone else now.
Sworn to secrecy, of course.
Oh, yeah. But I'm not sure she would have ever found it.
I didn't have any sense that she would either, because she had misinterpreted it when Mike, who was appeared to be pretty sauced on the wine at this point,
found
the clue and read it and came back and pointed right to where It was.
So, if she'd gone back to that same location and dug around, she would have found it pretty easy because Mike did.
I don't know if that's actually the case or not.
Oh, you think they might have uncovered it a little more?
No, I'm not suggesting that at all. I don't think production helped Mike. I just think that Angelina may not have found it.
Okay.
I mean, she went back and looked for it before. Granted,
Okay.
he had more time to look.
But she was still looking in the whole wrong area.
Yes, she had
And
misinterpreted it, and without Mike and Nick there, I don't think, I'm with you 100%. It doesn't seem like she would have ever found it. So,
Mike tells
good on her. Let's give her credit for asking for help. But then she starts claiming that she found it by herself. So,
Well,
classic
and
Angelina.
Nick starts to go up the ladder,
Yeah,
right, for
yes.
her. And she's like, oh, no, I want to get it.
Right.
It's like, well, of course you do. You don't want him even thinking that it's not yours in any way, shape, or form.
They even have another one of her quotes from earlier in the season she goes back to, which we'll get reminded multiple times, but about how unusual it is for a woman to find the idol. At which point I was thinking, and yes, you didn't find it. Look, I'll give you credit for finding the clue, but you didn't find the idol. Mike did, so you can't really claim that.
Yeah.
You could say it's unusual for a woman to be in possession of it, I guess, and still be statistically accurate.
Well,
but
I feel like
classic Angelina taking
some of
credit
the
for something
things
she
she
didn't
said kind of annoyed people, and that's why the edit went to a lot of those kinds of things. They really wanted to highlight those things that tend to grate on people, like her saying things over and over. And so anyway, that was my thought
And
behind
the
them
disingenuous
highlighting it.
nature of her conversation in general.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes. And it has nothing to do with her gender.
No,
It's who she is as a person.
Well, and who they've cast her to be, the role they've cast for her to play, so they always highlight that.
Well, they
especially
didn't
when you
cast
get
her
to-
to be that kind of person.
No,
They
but I
might
mean,
have
that's the
hoped
role
and
they
seen
gave
it.
her.
You're talking about
From-
the edit.
Yes.
I think you're
in
conflating the edit with the casting.
Well,
Yeah.
I didn't mean casting.
Okay.
I meant the edit.
Well, when you say cast, I got it. You meant the edit.
Yes, I did.
Yep, we'll come back to talking about edits in this recap. I'm looking forward to that portion too, because that topic comes up again at the end.
So Mike goes off and talks to Kara next and tells her it should be Davy. They want Allison, but it should be Davy instead, and Kara's thrilled. She's on board.
Yeah, and Allison tried. She knew she needed to try to reach out to Angelina, but that must have been really, really painful for her to do. And then we have to listen to Angelina say that she could sway this because she's driven pretty much the last three votes.
Well, at least Allison,
Allison's tears.
Was she trying to sway her?
Well, she's
With
trying
her
to.
tears, or
Well, I don't know.
were they genuine?
Don't
or
know the
was it-
answer to that.
Either way, good try.
She did the best she could with what she had,
That's right.
at which point it just fueled Angelina because she was eager, she tells us, to get revenge on Allison.
So then Mike talks to Allison and says he wants Davy out, and Kara wants Davy out. Will she vote with them?
It's a pretty easy pitch at that point, don't you
Oh,
think?
yeah. That Angelina wants you out,
Yeah.
but I want Davy out.
But poor Angelina, she's conflicted. She's conflicted because she wants revenge.
Yeah, and then Mike pleads to her, please vote Davy out first. She doesn't want to, but it looks like she gives in.
Mike's playing really smart at this point, too. He
Yeah.
knows he needs to break up. He tells us he needs to break up Nick and Davy.
Yep.
So he needs to get Davy away from Nick. So Nick's only got Mike.
Well, that's true, because I think that Nick probably would have taken Davy over them.
Sure. Yes.
So,
Seems likely, yes.
okay, tribal council.
Finally, at the night of that very long day you were describing.
I know it.
Christian's in the
Still.
jury, sans beard, but still mugging for the camera.
Yep. So Jeff starts conversation, and Allison pipes up and said, hey, look, let's be real. It's mine and Davy's names that are being thrown around today. Angelina was trying to make it look like, oh, a lot of names thrown out there today. And she's like, uh-uh.
Classic Allison at Tribal Council contradicting Angelina.
Yep.
But Allison tells us she tried to reach out to Angelina.
That they used to be allies.
Yep. There may be a bond they can fall back on.
And why do you think Angelina needed to say that she could have voted for her the last 2 tribals, but I didn't? What does that gain her with the jury? Is she's taking credit for both Gabby and Christian, and it didn't. While I don't think that she was viewed as the orchestrator of nor the swing vote for either of those votes necessarily. So she's trying to demonstrate her control of the game.
It was, again, jury management was a big part of it, but another was to try to put Allison in her place.
Well, I was going to say, I don't think that buys her any points with Allison on the jury, since that's where they're trying to send her. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Davy's not comfortable either. He's not making any bones about that. I'm not comfortable.
He says he's not comfortable, but he also doesn't think he's the one that's most at risk. He's holding out hope, pretty sure that it's Allison that's ahead of him on the go, and that's how it sounds from the discussion with Angelina essentially bragging that she could have taken Allison out at any point in the previous 2 tribal councils, and therefore implying that she very well may do that here.
Well, I'm pretty sure that Nick had given him every assurance that it wasn't him, and he believed him, but the key there was Nick didn't know. So
Mike tells us that Nick is a good partner, and they've been truthful and honest with each other about 95% of the time.
that should have been a real heads up to Nick that he wasn't going to vote the way he thought.
Mike goes a step further and tells him that yes, absolutely, betrayals are imminent.
And
that
Davy
is the
says,
nature
well,
of the game.
you know, these bonds get tighter as things go along, so pay attention.
Yeah, the resentment can hurt more.
Well, I kind of thought it was a misstep for Mike to say that, well, he may feel betrayal at some point. But
that might, for him to imply that he hadn't.
Yeah, but, you know, that's the nature of the game. I thought, yeah, but the jury members are sitting over there having felt it, and you're just kind of, you know, being nonchalant
flippant
about it. Yeah,
flippant. He's very flippant about it.
And I thought, I don't think that's... He's like, well, just move forward.
The votes come in. We see a couple for Allison, but then 1, 2, 3, 4 for Davy, and he is out. Davy is the number 6th person out. Ends in 6th place.
Yep, just like I put.
Yes, you did. You predicted that order very well.
I know. I'm still in shock.
I had Nick going, so I thought, well, okay, not that big a deal. Glad he won immunity, that a David is still in the game. So maybe this is just going to get flipped. It'll be Davey now and Nick next round is what I'm thinking at this point while we're watching.
So Nick says, sorry, you know, bro, I didn't know. And Davey's like, of course you didn't. He didn't doubt him a bit.
Right. Davey saying, you could at least spell my name right. That was Angelina.
That was Angelina, yeah. She spelled it E-Y instead of I-E. So then he turns around and talks about whoever orchestrated his vote out just got his vote.
For the million.
And puts everybody else on notice that unless you make bigger moves than that person has my vote.
Yep. And then as Davey's headed out, Mike says very quietly, I orchestrated that.
Yeah, I don't know that it was that quietly, but...
Well, it wasn't boisterous. I don't think it was that.
He was definitely taking credit.
He wanted the jury to know for sure, yes. Davey gives a nice howl on his way out of tribal council.
I can't believe Angelina didn't pop up and say something like, oh, I think we did that together.
Right.
Or something like that.
Classic interrupt, take control of the conversation.
Yep.
Or she would like to say lean in.
Well, they were both, you know, everybody had been working the jury.
I like that Probst, as you should at that point in the game, brought Davey out. That was cool, and we got to hear about the great fan response for Davey, which we've certainly already felt here on the podcast. So he was looking quite dapper, too, wasn't he?
Yes, and we had
Sharp-dressed
heard
man.
that. Yeah, we had heard about the whole he had been called out
The
late.
alternate,
Yeah. As an alternate, so.
That was cool to share the
But,
story with
Yeah,
everyone.
yeah, and I liked it that he personalized that moment with him, though he didn't do it with Kara.
No,
But
too much going on at that point, I think.
yep, okay, so
Back at camp, night 36.
it's still night
Day 36, yeah. Yeah, Nick's pretty upset. He got blindsided. They lied to my face, which is what we saw from the Next Time on Survivor teaser. So it was truly twice that he got to say that.
I am not going to play with people who lie to me.
Angelina tries to console him by telling him that Mike dug his heels
Well,
in.
Mike did it.
Yes, but
So,
she was there for Nick.
I'm here for you, but Mike just dug his heels in. And I still believe we're final three. No, calm down. So she did I guess she did an okay job
After
calming
Kara,
him down. but-
Allison, and Mike made fun of Nick's outburst and called him a child, Mike said he would go comfort him. He swears to Nick that he's not next.
But then he says he needed to get Nick out before he came after him.
Yes, exactly.
So I thought, yeah,
That's smart.
why would he believe anything you say?
but
though?
you do. You go
Well,
through the
sure.
motions.
You have to go through the
Yeah,
motions.
and you want to make it believable. Who better to do that than an actor?
Okay, we have finally completed day 36. Phew, that was a long, long day. Then day 37 starts out about the same. Immunity challenge.
I had forgotten that we saw Nick in this challenge too, pulling that bucket up. That would have definitely, had I remembered that would have affected my order for the
next
picks
on,
for sure. Yeah,
the
I didn't realize. I forgot that there was basically a spoiler there because I had interpreted those as two different challenges. I mean, as a single challenge, not two different ones. Sorry.
Yep.
So they got to do the classic thing. They're up on this pole way, way up above the water. They've got a bucket, but it has holes in it. But they've got to drop the bucket down and pull water up to the top there and then float a key. Get enough water into a bamboo tube to float a key up where they can grab it, and then they can head to the beach to unlock some puzzle
Well,
pieces.
good on Allison that she stayed up there, because there is no way
It didn't.
I would ever do
I don't think
that.
you would have even gotten up
No,
there.
I would have never
But
gotten up
it's
there.
classic Allison with a balancing
Like,
challenge.
No.
She was wobbling right from the get-go, so much so that Probst had to stop and then restart the countdown, basically, for her. And I like that he tortured her a little. He made her get control of it,
That's mean.
and then he drew it out to start a little bit.
It's like, just hurry up.
Yeah.
Do it. Nothing else. I'll just jump off of here and be done. No, she didn't give up, and that was really good. Like
Not only did she not give up, she got the key first.
Yes, she did.
Boom.
You know why? She wanted to get the
Motivated.
heck off of there.
Yeah, she was motivated. Well, she was okay as long as she could kneel down. Boy, that's the kind of thing I can't do because of the
Oh,
way
no.
my knees are with the extra calcium there under my knees. It makes it
Well-
really hard to kneel like that.
Mike didn't make it much better than her. He seemed to not be real happy about being up there either.
Right. Initially, his key wasn't moving at all. Probst called him out for that. Yeah. So Allison's out to an early lead. Nick's second to get his key. Then Kara. Then Mike comes from out of nowhere to catch up.
Yep.
Nick ends up being the first to the puzzle pieces there. And Angelina's having trouble just getting out of the water. She eventually filled her tube up enough to get the key, but then she couldn't get up on the beach.
No, Allison got to the puzzle pieces first and started pulling them loose, and then Nick.
Right, but Nick, I think he was first to get his up there, wasn't he?
I don't
On the
believe
table?
so. No,
Oh, okay. I might have made my note wrong.
though he caught up pretty quick.
Yep.
And he wins again. Guaranteed final four.
Because they had to actually, the puzzle pieces were locked, and then there was a rope running through them. And that kind of puzzle looked pretty tricky, where the
Oh,
pieces
yeah.
have to be fitted over the 4 different posts.
Just adds another level
And
of
it
difficulty.
completely stumped Allison. She looked like she was out of it. She just kept, at one point, she just kept stepping back and looking at Nick's puzzle, hoping for a clue to help her catch back up, but he worked it out how they fit together. So, yeah, his second one. How impressive is that?
I thought so.
He tells us from a blindside vote to all the power.
Wee-hoo.
Good job, Nick. That's incredible. Great story building here.
Well, especially because you had said to me, well, for Nick to win, he'd have to win all the way to the next set.
Did I really say it in that high of a voice?
You did.
Mm-hmm.
You were mocking me for choosing Nick.
No, I wasn't mocking you.
You
I
were.
said the odds
He'd have
are
to
against
win
him.
everyone.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, Joanne doesn't gloat much. Okay, back
I don't,
at camp.
actually.
All right, Angelina.
No, I don't.
Joanna. Everyone's congrats for Nick, because what else? I'm number one. Is that what that means? All right. Thank you, baby.
You're welcome. Anytime.
Angelina tells us it's easy. Allison goes.
Okay.
Time for me to be the star of the show.
Yeah.
I've dreamed up a play.
That just didn't go over well again.
Of course
did
not. No. She even acknowledged, Angelina herself acknowledges, well, it's a little catty. Well, it's a little Mean Girls.
But I got to do it anyway.
Yes.
Well, and then to do the whole... I'm glad Allison calls her out later on it, because I do think that was mean-spirited to do the fake idol. That's kind of like...
I don't think there's any other way to interpret it. She has been bent on revenge since Allison called her out about telling Elizabeth and doing jury management. All the way back at the Elizabeth vote. She's been looking for an opportunity to even the score. And now she attempted to humiliate her by making a fake idol that Allison could play, while she, in a display of grandeur, played the actual true hidden immunity idol that she tells us she found.
That didn't work either. Don't you think they probably, Mike and them just told her flat out that it was fake?
No. And
you don't think they told Allison?
Well, I think Kara indirectly, you're skipping ahead a little, but Kara indirectly, by telling Allison that Angelina has an idol, is essentially telling her that, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So maybe she said it explicitly, we weren't given that, and based on some of Allison's reactions, it didn't seem like someone had out and out said that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Mike wasn't as keen on the theatrics either. He's just really too tired. He didn't have any patience for a grand plan.
And especially because she wanted him to lay the groundwork. Mm-hmm. So that involves him in the deception.
Yes, we've seen Angelina lay plans like this before.
Yeah, and
like
that
when she sent Natalie to get Nick or Lyrsa's jacket.
Absolutely. And the thing is that Mike's absolutely correct in that, okay, telling a lie to Allison when she's going home, not really a problem. But to lie to Kara, who I still want to work with, I need to leave that door open, that's not okay.
Mike describes Angelina as a cruel psychopath.
Well, and not only that, but why would we help you look better in front of the jury when we're planning to go be sitting next to you?
Oh, come on. Can't you give me just this one little thing? Come on, Mike.
It's like, no. Well, Nick tells us everybody likes Mike. He's playing a great strategic game. And
yeah. Meanwhile, she's interested in getting Mike out because he's the biggest threat.
I'll vote for Mike. So at this point, I'm thinking Mike's going. I wasn't going to get my vote out correct because I had Allison going.
Yeah.
And I had kind of let go of that one. I really thought Mike was going to go.
It did appear that there was a threat towards Mike at this point that was real.
Well, in case Davey didn't understand, Nick points it out at Tribal Council once again that he was blindsided by the Davey vote. So Angelina talks about the all-out battle today between her and Allison. She's trying to set all this up, you know. And
lay the groundwork for the drama.
Allison's talking about what a big threat Mike is. And I really didn't like what Mike said to Allison about being all snarky about not leaving with her dignity intact. Mm-hmm. And that kind. I just thought, he showed his anger there.
Yes.
He did not like her coming back.
Position of power.
Saying anything about him.
Being a threat. Yeah.
He hasn't been under attack.
No.
Think about it. Mike's not been under attack a lot.
No, he's
And especially in
super under the
tribal.
radar. Yeah.
And he didn't react very well as far as I'm concerned to that.
Right.
So that was interesting.
I think Mike's pretty tired at this point.
Well, who is it? Day 37. So, okay, let's get to the votes. And I'm thinking it's going to be Mike. And there is a vote for Mike. Allison votes for him. And then it's Allison. And Allison goes home. So I was like, oh, I do get a point. Yay.
So you skipped over the idle play stuff. You want to go back to that just for a second? So I'm
I thought we did cover that.
Rewind. You know, we talked about the lead up to it. You were eager to you getting the point, I think. Mike says that for Allison that he's going to give her a B+ as a grade, not an A. So he's getting one more dig in with his vote commentary against Allison there. And Kara's interested in denying Angelina her moment, she tells us in her quote when she's voting. So Allison does play the fake idol, and Probst says, yes, this is a fake. So it was a little confusing for a second, the way he answered her. And then Angelina says, well, I made this janky fake idol, but I'm going to play the real one. At which point...
Therefore, taking credit for the fake one. But, you know, that all happened after the vote, though, after they went and voted, so...
Before the votes were read, yeah.
Yeah, no.
And
I was getting there.
Gabby even noticed. She said, did you see Gabby? She can't stop talking about it in reference to Angelina. Yep, and like you said, Mike got 1, Allison got 3, she's gone. So we're down to the final 4, Nick, Mike, Kara, and Angelina.
Day 37 is done.
All right, we're on to day 38. Last immunity challenge.
No chit-chat with Allison.
Nope, just on to it. So with one hand classic, with one hand tied behind your back, got this rollerball maze.
I never liked this challenge.
No, why not? Does it make you tense, anxious,
No.
worried about the drop, or you just don't find it interesting?
I just don't find it interesting watching the balls roll.
But it's about who loses their concentration and their focus,
know, and
right?
the coordination and the whole thing and
Right.
the timing. I'm not saying it's not
The little
difficult.
lever in the middle
That's just how I feel about it.
sends the ball to the left or the right. It alternates back and forth. So you got to find that rhythm. And then over a period of time, yeah, right. Over a period of time, you add another ball and another ball. And then it keeps going until you drop one.
Angelina out first.
Yep.
Then Mike. Then Kara.
Nick gets his 3rd immunity win. Yes, amazing. 3 times in a row. If you're going to save yourself, save yourself in a grand way.
Yes.
That was just incredible. Well done, Nick.
At this point, I'm starting to think, dang, it might really happen.
Kara summed it up perfectly. You're just distracted by one brief moment.
Yep.
Less than a second even, and then she lost it. She didn't catch it. Even though she saw it, she was ready, she was prepared.
But
Probst said something to her.
Blamed it on Probst.
And distracted her.
Well, he said to both of them, you have 15 seconds to incorporate the move. And she was thinking about that and forgot, I have a ball coming.
Nick tells us he surprised even himself with that win. And I believe him.
Yeah, I do too.
At which point Probst congratulates him because he has now made it to Final 3, guaranteed. He even gets a fist bump from Probst. Wow. Back at camp, it's a familiar tune. Congrats, Nick.
Let's go chat.
Angelina tells us that his winning is my winning. At this point, I agree with her.
Yep.
Because that goat, ride that goat to the rodeo. In the final, David has control. How is that? How is that in this season? After Nick worked so hard to get it, and then they goofed it up, and now he's managed to get it again.
Well, and he was trying to decide who goes and how to make sure they still vote for him.
Mm-hmm. So, at this point, he's got to make the decision. Who do I take with me so that, because it's Final 4 now, the other 2 have to face off in a fire-making challenge to decide who the 3rd is.
Yep.
And therefore, who the fourth is that is essentially voted out at that point.
Angelina tells us, I'm a closer, I'm persuasive, and he's taking me. She talked him into it.
To which Nick replies, I'm going to have trouble beating the other two. Mm-hmm. Implication, I will not have trouble beating Angelina, the closer, the great talker. Yeah, so he actually...
Everybody's tired of hearing you talk.
He actually informs them of his decision, so Angelina now feels very likely, unless there's some cruel twist coming her way, that she's going to make final three, and it's down to Kara and Mike to make fire.
You know, I really liked that they both practiced making the fire, and Kara wanted to go first, and I thought, yeah, Mike wants you to go first so he can watch how you do it.
Yes.
And figure it out.
Mike has told us that this is not his strong suit, that and he didn't even practice. He was counting on the kindness of strangers.
He was going to be in good enough they would want to take him.
He was going to be in Angelina's position, basically. So yeah, he tells us he had to get a hold of his anxiety because he was having a bit of a freak out facing the prospect of having to make fire to save himself in the game.
And Kara said she's a Goliath, she doesn't give up. So, but they both practice and they watch each other. They're very open about it. You know, no deception, no running off and hiding and, you know, not letting anybody see me practicing. They didn't do any of that. So that's cool.
Not that that's a bad idea, but yeah. Tribal Council?
Yep.
Some definite tears of joy there, for real, from Nick. And he was talking about his win of the immunity and the position that it's got him in right now. And this is when we get the quote for the title of the episode, with great power comes great responsibility.
Yep.
And to recap Kara's pitch to Nick, which was, I didn't do anything to get here. That was interesting to have her, for her to go ahead and say that in front of the jury. Not that she would necessarily have stuck with that story, but that didn't seem like a very powerful story to be telling, huh?
True. Okay. There's a theme here. The person who gets the purple wins making fire.
Yeah. You just can't help yourself, huh? Yep, so...
No, I'm at making fire.
Mike ends up on purple, Kara's on orange. The question is, will she be able to break that orange curse?
Well, let's not forget that question. But the answer is already there. Purple wins. Actually, I said that when they said he was purple. I thought, uh-oh, that means he's probably going to win, because that's what happened last time.
So they
purple is Goliath.
Had some good back and forth in the beginning there. Kara actually got a flame going at first, and it went out. And then Mike got a flame, and he was able to coax it.
Yes, it took a while.
Keep working it.
But hers just kept going out every time she'd get a spark.
It's clear neither one of them had the skills. It was obvious from Mike said, I guess I was really surprised that Kara didn't have that down by now, because she was known for being one of the cooks for her tribes.
Doesn't mean she got up and started the fire.
Well, obviously it doesn't mean that. She did not have that skill, so...
Well, because if she'd been able to get it even way later on, Mike's was so small, and he was putting these little bitty pieces. I'm sure it took him a long time to get it to the height that he finally needed to.
Yeah.
And so she had plenty of time to catch up, I think.
She had opportunities for sure. Yeah. She just did not have the skill. So go out there without the skill at your peril. Maybe you'll be lucky like Mike and get it. And good job on Mike. And I was pretty sure he wouldn't get it because of his earlier story about not practicing and not being interested in practicing.
Well, I guess that was the real story, and the editors waylaid us with showing Allison making fire, so we ran off on a tangent about it would be Allison
with
and
our
Mike.
predictions.
Yeah, so
we'll give them another feather in their cap for managing all that this season too.
Kara is the next and final jury member, and the final three for sure is Nick, Mike, and Angelina. Now there's a 10-person jury, and they have all the power.
Yes. Sunrise, day 39. They're definitely enjoying their day. Mike carves the last notch in the tree for counting off their days out there. And Angelina tells us she's a true Goliath. She fought tooth and nail to be there. I was just thinking, hey, you're missing out on your breakfast. Where's the breakfast? I don't really want to hear Angelina.
Well, and she tells us all about how the games tested her way more than the other two guys in the final three did.
Yes.
So.
This is just core to her story, whatever it is. I worked harder. I did more. I found an idol.
Well, and Nick's just proud of himself. He got here. He was an underdog. That's all true. And being a country boy from southern Kentucky, and there he is in the finals.
Seems like he had the better story. The question is, what will Nick bring to that final tribal council in that regard?
Yeah.
Mike tells us that dealing with an epic story with the themes here this season, but he's still here, and he has felt alive out here.
And he's all about pushing himself, and his social game was very good.
According to him, he says it was inspired.
But he was the person behind the driver, because the driver's one.
Yeah, you reacted to that.
I did. I'm like, oh, well, if you're behind the driver, that means you're in the back seat.
And you took that to be lesser somehow.
Yeah, what moves did you make?
Well,
are they going to see
if you're telling people when to turn left and right,
not the driver?
Yeah. So, are you turning the steering wheel and stepping on the pedals, or are you the one actually saying where to go? That was what he was saying.
Yeah, I know.
You interpreted it as being lesser somehow, though, that he wasn't driving.
You never know how the jury's going to view that.
True.
Especially when you know, if you put that out there in front of them, which he didn't do, but he could. It's like, oh, I wouldn't use that argument. Anyway, we are on our way to the final tribal council.
Yeah, Probst sort of recaps the season a little bit, and I think he's excited with how fluid the gameplay was this season. Those were his words, and he talks about how so many different castaways won individual immunity challenges, how it was very spread out until the end when there was a dominant performance, but he didn't add that part.
Nope.
Yeah.
But we ended up with 1 David and 2 Goliath in the finale.
Yep. How fitting.
Yes.
Got to overcome the odds again for the David. Probst tells us it's all about people figuring out, he's just recapping his story from the beginning of the season, figuring out what the advantage really was and maximizing it at each point in the game. Okay,
let's get to the outwit questions.
Social relationships, emotional intelligence. I was thinking, all right, this is where the beatdown for Angelina is gonna come.
So Elizabeth starts out. She didn't really ask a question.
We didn't get to see her ask a question.
She just made a statement that almost all of us are undecided right now, which is unusual.
Interesting statement, and I don't believe it, but that's fine. I think that's a good stage to set to get the best possible outcome from the final 3, so I approve of it from that perspective. I just didn't believe it.
And then they show Christian asking them to highlight a move they made in the game. Nick tells us he went one-on-one with lots of people, and when John went home, they did the split vote, and it was all about the timing.
Yeah, that was Nick's message, and I really liked his summarization there. It was having information and then timing the use of it. That was a really good story, the way he put that together. And like you said, he ended that. He started out talking about his named alliances and how he built that up from the beginning, but he talked about taking John out as the peak of his emotional game.
Several of them smile because they were in those alliances.
Yeah, so it was good to personalize those alliances and reinforce that with those members of the jury. And John wasn't letting him off easy, though, because he said, you did peak there, right? That was pretty much,
but
what did you do after that?
Off, yeah. So,
and it was a fair point, and he didn't have a great stellar comeback for that, but he did have a response about how he reconnected with Mike and reconnected with Angelina and used them after he had lost the advantage, because he was an extreme underdog again after they screwed up their advantage.
Exactly. I like that he owned that there were 2 blindsides. After they voted him, he got blindsided twice.
Yeah.
So, but then he joined back up with the old Jabini group and got himself back going again. So I thought it was a good answer for John.
John tried to direct the question next to Mike, but Angelina wasn't having that. She decided to lean in and give her answer ahead of his.
Oh, and you don't mind, do you, Mike?
Right. She tells us that her back was against the wall after she goofed up the Elizabeth thing, and I thought, oh, okay, so well done that you acknowledge that. I was really expecting her to get flayed on this one, but it didn't really go that way.
Nope, she picked herself up and she adapted.
And right
then she goes into how she did the whole rice and fed the tribe.
I like that Davy stopped her, but he was super polite in pointing out that
you're not selfless.
It's not selfless if you keep taking credit for it. Yes.
You're right.
Angelina was good in emphasizing that she had gone from weakest to her strongest position.
Well, and she did do those things. You know, you have to give her credit that she was in a lot of bad places and really should have gone home. I know that for you, it's that she just got carried along.
We have different perspectives on that.
We do. But I still think she didn't give up. She worked hard. She kept working every possible angle and stayed in the game. So, whereas you feel like she got carried, and she did at the end.
She got carried all along.
Okay, well, we've had this
She got well, we have, but I wanted to have it in the podcast so that you could have the two different views, right?
I thought we did already.
You're saying that she was responsible for getting herself through all these different stages.
Getting herself through.
And my side of the argument is that she was a goat that got carried. So you can be carried, and it's not to your credit, and it's not because you did anything wonderful, marvelous, or self-preserving. You just got dragged along, and we've seen that happen before. I think that's really what happened with her. But that's our two different perspectives. We're obviously looking for your feedback on that, too, when we get to the listener feedback show.
Well, then we get to Mike. Mike finally gets a chance to answer, and he talked about all the final twos he had with a lot of people too.
Mm-hmm.
And
he had an answer for the ones that he didn't have deals with, which I don't know if that was
Gabby.
If that was a part of the byproduct of the editing, or if that was something that he anticipated. Because he went back to Carl, Davy, and Gabby that he wasn't able to establish a connection with, and said that's part of why you had to go, because I couldn't set up final two deals.
Yeah, you were never going to vote with me. So, and Gabby said, "You're right. Didn't trust you.
You were transparent.
You were obvious that you had lots of final twos."
Right.
So she was kind of dissing him a little bit there.
Well, I think she was responding. She was giving him an answer.
Yep.
This is why you were transparent about it. Allison talked about Mike's ability to be witty, and also how his sarcasm can also turn to biting. And Mike, he seemed to own that. Do you think that he gave the appropriate response? Yeah, it was a low blow. Something about it didn't come off completely right, though.
Well, at least for what they showed, he kind of tried to say, yes, sorry, but then he started talking about, but I was out here playing with all of you Baywatch people, and and I was all, I think he used distraction. He just tried to distract from what she was saying.
I think he fumbled a little bit, too, at that point, too, by mentioning that he had dozens of people working for him in real life.
Yeah.
And going on, like you were talking about, where he was saying that being a Goliath was humbling for him.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then Nick pipes in, says, well, I was doing the same as Mike.
How come it was different when Nick did it than when Angelina did it?
Yeah, but he's like, but I had my fate in my own hands. He wasn't dependent on anybody else.
Right.
He had to get, he's insinuating that she had other people carry her at this point. And I think that's what he's saying.
Ah, yeah.
There.
Could be.
Which he did. He
I'm
carried
an aw
her
shucks kind of guy.
to the finale.
Yep.
So, deliberately. So. And Gabby once again gives props to
hold
Angelina.
Hold on just a second before you go there.
Okay.
Probst asked, are we good with the social portion? Are we done with this section? To which point Christian replies no. And not only no, but bleep no. There's more. Now Gabby goes on, congratulates her. Yeah.
props to Angelina for being the last woman in the game.
Mm-hmm.
And Gabby was the last David in the game.
Female on David.
Female David in the game,
Yeah.
yes. And then Angelina starts talking about being a woman of color, and sometimes I sound insincere, and I thought, I don't think anybody's buying it. I think that sounds good, and it sounds well thought out in your head, because I'm sure people have already said that to you, and this is your response when it comes up. You were waiting for this opportunity to say how misunderstood, but
Which is
it
good
still
to have
felt,
anticipated.
It is. It's all good, but it still
maybe
comes across as insincere.
Maybe not so much if you're anticipating because you've had it happen to you before.
Yeah.
So many times that you have a prepared answer may mean you're not learning an important lesson.
Well, then who knew? Kara piped up and said, "Hey, Mike, you played the social game I wanted to play." And I was like, wow, she's so I wasn't surprised to see that she voted for Mike.
Mm-hmm. She even gave Angelina some credit. Said, talked to her about how the Elizabeth goof up, how she made it work for her, which was good.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay, on to outplay camp life. That seemed to really resonate with Dan. He wanted to bust Mike's chops a little bit for not contributing.
I didn't see you make fire. I didn't see you build shelter. Blah, blah, blah.
Where were you when we were doing stuff at camp?
And Mike basically pulled out the old guy card and how he went in every challenge, more challenges than anyone else.
I participated. He got a participation trophy.
I guess he did more challenges than anyone else, other than Kara.
That would have been great if
Kara.
Yeah.
Because she did the fire making, so I guess he could legitimately say
Yeah.
anybody but Kara. So
I wish Dan would have had that ready. Well, I got your participation trophy right here.
So yeah, I didn't think that was the best answer, but yeah, no, whatever. Well, I like Davy's question about tell us how you're David and how you're Goliath.
How you have the other traits, the opposite traits, yeah. Oh, and this is just such a perfect question for Angelina because she had the courage to take chances. She found that idol. She climbed 150
50 feet up in the air.
And she really leaned into everything the game had to offer. So I'm pretty sure she watched a YouTube video on that.
And she was out of her comfort zone.
Props to you, Gabby says. That's sweet of Gabby.
And yeah, Gabby did point out the whole, you're right, less women do find an idol. But she still didn't vote for you, Angelina.
So Allison calls out Angelina, too. Fake idol. You're trying to embarrass me.
To embarrass me.
Yep. And Nick said, yeah, you did. Even as Angelina's trying to deny it.
She said no. Oh, no, no. And Nick's like, yes, you wanted to embarrass her.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, well, good for you, Nick. Just don't let her get away with that one.
I like Nick's response about how he was a Goliath. And he had the story. You don't win like that at the end and not feel like a winner. And he talked about his people skills, his social skills, and how they put the Carl and Davey advantages together. Mike had some of the most impressive moves of the whole game. He had a lot to draw on, I think, in responding to these.
Well, I mean, who can argue with that? Nick was good at the puzzles, and he was good with people, and he learned and knew where the idols were and the advantages and how to play them, and
I don't think they even showed us how good of an answer he gave about that.
Yeah.
I think they, in the quest, what I would say this final tribal council, the edit strategy was, make it seem even. Because they've been really good at keeping us off guard.
Exactly.
And so there are positives for Angelina all through this that I did not expect to see.
Well, and they can't deny, that he won the last 3 immunity challenges. Right. So that's undeniable.
Right.
But you're right. I was sitting here thinking, oh, shoot. I thought if Nick got there, he was a shoo-in to win, but they're making me think I'm not seeing it the way the jury's answering the questions.
It's not an overwhelming positive story for Nick, right?
No, no, not at all. I'm starting to think, oh shoot, I think Mike might have this wrapped up. Angelina could even get some points.
Angelina, to her credit, got to acknowledge that she is a good speaker at times when she's not too busy patting herself on the back. And she gave a good response in the Outlast section. Describe your journey, your story here. And she said that she did what she set out to do. Well, she is there.
And she's always been able to accomplish anything.
She hit rock bottom. She was described by others as damaged goods, but she set about rebuilding that. And she's the most battle-tested person there. A triumph for her to be there. I think Nick's got a better story hands down.
Yeah,
though.
He said, well, he had tons of challenges too in this game, and that he found ways out of the struggles. And he faced 4 Goliath and just him, and he had to fight the whole way.
Early
the
way
whole
on,
game.
swapped into a disadvantaged position,
was
but
an
managed to
underdog
stay.
from all the way through the game. So I thought that was great.
Yeah, his line about how he kept finding slingshots, kept finding ammo for him.
Yeah.
Yep, it's a good story.
And Mike, on the other hand, says, well, I never felt too nervous in the game. I just wanted to play.
And
Figure out
I don't
what
feel like I was a
for.
goat. Yeah.
And
He missed it a little here at the end.
I was after the rainbow and not the pot of gold, and I would have.
And
my thought was
that was when he was
good.
crying, and you said that Christian was crying
was
in
relating,
response, right?
Relating to.
He liked this message from Mike.
And
it
Christian voted for him, so.
Didn't do anything for me, but it definitely worked for Christian.
Yeah,
whatever it was that he said, we didn't get the version that Christian did.
Than what we heard, but I thought, oh, well, if you weren't after the pot of gold, then let's give it to somebody who needs it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, good. I'm glad you're not after that. It's not what you wanted. You don't need it. Okay, that works for me.
Jury offers congratulations to everyone as Probst gathers up the voting urn and heads out.
And at this point, I didn't really know who was going to win. Did you?
It was not obvious. I think the editors did their job just over the top again, even with this summary.
Because I had thought, Angelina would get no votes, Mike would get, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2, and that Nick would just rule. And from what we just saw, at this point, I'm like, man, I don't know. I really don't know who's going to win. This could go any which way.
They did do a good job.
It
made you think that even Angelina might have had some hope, because she kept getting kudos from people along the way. So it wasn't just overwhelmingly negative the way we've seen it be for people in her position who weren't valued in the final 3 scenario.
Well, and then we get first vote was for Mike. Second vote was for Mike. Thinking, Then we get 2 votes for Nick. And then they went back to Mike, and I thought, oh, Angelina's got no votes. Or they would have, if she even had 1, they would have read it. And so then Mike gets his 3rd, and from then on, it was Nick all the way. Yay!
Nick wins, and Simone in the crowd, who Probst had, cast her vote to see if they could keep that streak running, reveals that even she had voted for Nick.
Yep, the votes for Nick were John, Dan, Elizabeth, Gabby, Carl, Davy, and Alec. And for Mike, he got Christian, Allison, and Kara's votes.
Yeah, I was a little surprised about those, but
I was kind of surprised at Christian, but...
So what Elizabeth said probably was truly the case. It was really up in the air when they went in, given how some of those votes went. At least for Christian, I would think that'd be the case. We're almost halfway through the reunion show at this point.
Yay, Nick wins! Which made it an even better season. David got there.
Yeah, well, just the fashion that he won in, I think, capped it off and kept it being overall a really fantastic season. Looking forward to hearing what other people thought about that from that perspective, too.
Well, I loved what he said about, he wanted to be a lawyer to become rich because he'd never had money, and that was his goal for going to law school but then it became, a calling for him, and everything changed. And I thought, oh, that's a beautiful story as well.
It is. It'll be interesting to see how. Now, I don't know that we'll gain any insight into it, but him coming into this money can change things, especially in a small town scenario, dramatically. Hopefully, things will continue in a positive vein for him from this perspective. Sometimes that turns sour.
Because
the resentment.
People know you have money, they think
and their expectations that you're gonna provide it to them get all out of whack with things. Just their expectations become unrealistic.
And then Jeff tells us that, and Mike, you turned down the job to play Survivor.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Mike tells us how he wanted to live the adventure, even if he embarrasses himself. And that he's just going to keep chasing the adventures because he loved it so much. So
yeah, he didn't really have an answer. Probst wanted to know what he had done since he'd been back to exemplify that change in his approach to life, and that was not there.
And to get back to things, and he didn't give him that.
No, well, he didn't. It's because it didn't have that kind of impact on him. Mike might be saying that right now, but he clearly hasn't. He hasn't walked that talk yet. Maybe after tonight he'll feel freer to do so in some way. But now, what did you think about the exchange with Angelina? He tried to confront her with it.
You were the most polarizing player in a long time. I thought that's what you came up with, to give her something. And
Well, what about her response to his asking her what it's been like to go through the brutal criticism?
I didn't think she totally addressed that, but
he even gave her an out. Her response was, well, I leaned in with my heart, and it's been an honor to represent women, especially women who are aggressive and smart. And he called her on the whole 100 feet thing.
So proud to represent
versus 8 feet. Yeah.
Oh, on the
ladder.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the heights that she had climbed to.
Yeah, well, she stretched it a little there.
Probst gave her an out, though. He said, yeah, I think a man would be treated differently. But the thing
they would say he was
the thing
aggressive.
that she didn't acknowledge, and the thing that he's essentially given her an out for, is that it has nothing to do with gender, how she's perceived. And so trying to make it about that just felt wrong to me. It's who she is as a person. And the lack of self-awareness that he went so far as to say that exemplified, that demonstrated lack of self-awareness. And he tried to show her and give her an example with the Natalie clip. Now, she finessed that really well. Oh, yeah, that made me, laugh too.
On the rice and the whole jacket thing.
Yeah.
But he even asked, did you have any self-awareness when you were rewatching this on television?
I don't think she got it.
No.
So she did not.
Well, and why would she address it? She didn't want to, I guess. She may choose to do it in other things, areas.
I think that first, though, that requires you to acknowledge it.
Well, yeah.
And she doesn't see that. She if you do not have that self-awareness, you can't. You can't acknowledge it. You can't. You can't move on from there.
A little by saying that, well, I could see things I would tweak if I played again, Jeff.
And she is someone that he's already said he would have back on again.
Yep. So
for this very reason, it's got nothing to do with her being a strong, aggressive woman and him being all for projecting that idea out there, which is a great idea.
Yeah, I just thought, she at least
it's because she's a villain. It's because her lack of self-awareness makes her a villain.
Yeah, I don't think it's gender related at all either for that.
No.
It was the thing she did as a person, not as a woman.
It's her character, yeah.
So
she did not benefit from this experience. She did not gain that insight about herself so that she could make a change. And there's some hard denial there for sure.
Yeah.
Or she just disagrees with the type of conclusion that I'm putting forth. You could say it that way, too.
Well, and that's
Dan gets to relive his idol nullifier experience. Here's what I'm going to say about that. This is a return to the classic reunion to some degree. Because he's going around and he's talking to people.
Hitting highlights,
and he's getting different viewpoints. It's not he obviously didn't have enough time because they used it for the finale, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I
me
get that.
too.
I even like it, and I had settled on not ever having this again. But it was so nice to have it again,
Yeah.
where he goes and talks to the different castaways and gets some updates
And
there.
at least, brought it up, remind you, gave them an opportunity to say a word or two.
Carl got to say Bing again, which was good. I thought for a second he was going to get a little more and get some credit, and all that, but he got a Bing.
He did. Prope said you played it perfectly.
Yeah, what I'm saying though is that Carl didn't. The only thing Carl got to verbalize was Bing, which was nice to have that again too.
Yes, exactly.
But I guess I could have had a little more from Carl, but that's okay. Good stuff. Now the big question is: Christian over, or is he forgiven Gabby from the betrayal?
Well, they didn't go on too long about that anyway. So, and they talked about how Christian felt, and he was
fan favorite.
there.
Makes sense to have some conversation with Christian here for sure.
Worried that he'd be ostracized out there, and
I liked his first day of school analogy. That was good, and that how he was surprised that things were different. The challenges weren't what he expected, and
Jeff gave him his. Jeff said 5 hours. Christian said 6.
Yeah.
But up on the the post and
the endurance challenge. Yep.
I can't.
Which was an
believe he
endurance
felt no
challenge
pain,
for Probst too.
Yes, it was, and he liked
he
it.
goes into a lot of detail on all that
Captured audience
in that Dalton Ross interview, which was really good. I linked in the show notes from the last listener feedback show. And Gabby informs us that yes, their friendship survives. We did skip over the part that Gabby cried one more time because the final vote was just too difficult for her.
I didn't think you could handle going over that, but good job, baby.
Okay, don't know what that means.
And
now it's time to check in with Natalie, who Probst said is not happy with how she was portrayed.
Happy about how she was portrayed.
And so she laid it all out. I think she did an excellent description of how she was portrayed.
Lazy, confrontational. She said, okay, I'll give them bossy. But she said she couldn't celebrate being on the show because of how she was portrayed. And Jeff was heartbroken.
Well, he said it hurts my heart. He didn't say his heart was broken. Those are two different things. You're trying to give her a little extra.
No, I'm making fun of what Jeff said. I thought that was funny.
So Probst tells us he's going to take a risk and see if he got this wrong. He asks, was that an accurate representation of the Natalie experience? And they're all like, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think she has much to stand on at that point.
No, she gave one more shot at her defense, saying that Probst only got to see her on the defensive at Tribal Council, but she's overlooking the fact that Probst gets to see all the footage.
Yeah.
Just like everyone else who watched the season got to see the footage. So
it's like, okay, it's nice of you to let her speak for a second and move on.
How about that? Kara lost 26 pounds.
Wow.
What he should have said what percentage of her body weight that was. Because Allison, who's significantly larger than Kara, lost 27. And Davey was the winner for the season at 36.
Yeah.
But nowhere near close to what Big Tom's
Kara and
record.
Dan lost the same amount.
Yeah.
Though Dan went out way sooner. So
yes, yeah.
He'd lost a lot more if he'd stayed in as long as Davey, probably. But
Probst tells us, although that's impressive, none of them came close to the record, which was nearly 80 pounds for Big Tom. Yep.
Well, here's the thing they don't tell us. How much weight did they gain back at Ponderosa?
You want to hear those numbers, huh? One more check in with Dr. Joe before they all leave.
Yeah.
So you can see how much they... But you could see that John and Dan were putting it back on in Elizabeth, too.
Oh, yeah.
They were definitely enjoying that every time you'd see them come in the jury.
Always see the early on ones because they've been there longer, chowing down. So, and then we were like excited because they were going to let Pat speak even.
Yeah.
The first person that went out. So that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was nice to hear that he's doing really good and ready to play again. I don't doubt that we will see Pat at some future point
if I'm sure we
Survivor's able to continue.
Then we get...
Hey, before we do the next time on Survivor, let's just do a really quick summary. What did you think about the reunion show? I think your JSFL has skewed you a bit.
I think I already said.
Uh-huh.
I really did enjoy it. It moved. There was only 30 minutes. I thought he jammed a lot of conversation into that. It wasn't anything in depth, but it didn't have to be. I really
You're talking about the reunion show, right? Yeah.
That's what you asked.
I was talking about the whole thing, but that's fine.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Well, I'll finish the reunion show, which I just really loved him going back and touching base with more people than usual.
Yeah.
And not getting waylaid too much out in the audience and different stuff. So, actually, I enjoyed the whole season. The whole episode tonight was very entertaining. And yes, it did help that I got the order correct, which I still am kind of baffled by, but okay.
Yeah.
I'll take
That's
it.
awesome. Yeah,
And,
it's fantastic. It was an excellent finale. I myself was worried. I think that colored some of my decisions for my choices in the final 6, the final 5 order. I was concerned. I didn't think the season could end really strongly. I thought it might taper off a little.
Given up.
I had lower expectations. So what I'm saying is the finale exceeded my expectations. It was really fantastic. I enjoyed it thoroughly. And then the reunion show exceeded my expectations again because it went back to the kind of the older format that I've always enjoyed. And I thought that some of the castaways deserved that, and that he had been, they had basically been cheating them out of that
hit
opportunity.
A few highlights. We don't ask for a lot.
Yeah, so I think that's in keeping, I can say with this entire season that the editing consistently surprised me and exceeded expectations all the way through. And I'm just really super pleased with season 37, and I was just excited and pleased with how it wrapped up too. Yeah, it's a really outstanding. I think it's easily in the top half of all seasons. I'm good with that.
I'm going to tell you this because I want you to remember it so you can remind me next season that I decided I am going to make my choices for the final 6, and I'm going to do that how I would like for it to go. I'm not going to overanalyze or any of that. I went in on Monday, I think even pretty early, and just went, I'm going to do it. I'm going to walk away from it, and I'm not coming back. Just do it and be done, whatever you decide. And I went through and I made my decisions and made my decisions.
And you didn't second think
and
it at all?
I didn't. Not even today. Didn't at all.
Yeah.
And I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. I said,
well, that worked well for you for sure.
I know. Who knew?
Congratulations.
Usually I change it multiple times.
Anything else you wanted to say about the season here?
Just that I really, really enjoyed the season.
Yeah, and the finale did not disappoint for us.
Not at all.
Yep. Great finale.
Not at all. Because I admit I would have been disappointed had certain people won. Had your choices,
it would have been less.
Would have been way less for me.
And I thought that was the direction it was headed. So, all right. Well, there you have it. Next time on Survivor, season 38, we got a little bit of a teaser for Edge of Extinction. What did you think about that? What did you learn from seeing that little teaser?
We had 4 returning players.
Yeah, who was that?
That was Joe. There you go, Sarah. Aubrey, Kelly Wentworth, and David Wright.
Yeah. So it looks like they're going to be like captains. They're going to be 2 tribes, and you've got 2 of these returning players as captains.
Yeah, it kind of looked like Joe and Aubrey. You can see their buffs. They were kind of looked like they were on the same tribe.
Yeah, the yellow and red, you said, and then there was a blue.
The lady named Wendy and Rick were on the blue tribe. So,
Wendy looks like my candidate for first out on her tribe, telling us she's going to go in a blaze of glory. She just wants to make big moves. That's exactly what you need to say if you get in front of Probst.
Rick's from Macon, Georgia.
How about that? Yep, Georgia boy. We'll see if he can do any good.
Yep, he's got.
I liked his Kool-Aid man. I like that. Yeah.
So, and he's a newscaster. All right. Well, that's really all. They didn't give a lot away.
No, there's some details out there about what the extinction part means and how that's going to work, but we're not going to get into that right now, right?
I haven't seen a thing and don't even want to.
Yeah, so I won't mention it. But yeah, there's a twist there.
They do say there's a new layer that will push them. So I guess that's what you're talking about.
That's correct.
It's already out there, but I can wait.
Okay.
I'm still basking in this season, so I don't care about the other season yet.
The details too much. Alrighty, good deal. Anything else you want to say about that? We didn't see a whole lot in the Next Time on Survivor clip, but
no, he
said spring. It's in spring, but I'm pretty sure it's coming back in February. So that's not really spring. That's winter. So in any case, it won't be too long till we're there. Well, we're excited. We're done with our recap of the finale and the reunion show. We're excited to hear what you thought about the finale, the reunion show, the season as a whole. Positive. Where does it fit in your rankings? If you've got some sense, some idea of that. Like I said, for me, it's a top half season for sure. It could be top 5 even. I noticed Dalton Ross had it at number 5, I believe, in his rankings. So the recency bias is strong with this. We know that. So we get when, our perspectives can change over time and on a rewatch, but I'm anxious to find out what you thought about that in terms of where the season fits and what to look forward to.
Well, we don't have the JSFL update because there were 6 people in the finale, so a lot of that has to be done manually. So we'll have that on Saturday for everybody. But I will say that there were 132 people who chose Nick as the winner. There were 24 for Mike, 28 for Kara, 73 for Davey, 12 for Angelina, and 23 for Allison. So that's the only stats that I have. But we'll have the winners of both JSFL and the side challenge on Saturday.
All right. Speaking of Saturday, that's when we do the listener feedback show. So we're interested in hearing where you think this season fits overall. What did you think of the finale? What did you think of the reunion show? Your highlights, your lowlights. Looking forward to hearing that. We want you to come be a part of the last episode of this season. For us, it's our 28th season podcasting. That'll be where there's like 1,148, I think, episodes that'll put us at. So, hey, come be a part of that. Feedback's due noon Pacific time on Saturday. The voicemail line, the easiest way to get audio feedback in, 206-350-1547, toll free 844-643-8737. The email, joanneandstacyshow@gmail.com. You can write it up and we'll read it in for you, or you can record your own audio, and then we'll put together the last show of the season. Looking forward to hearing your voice there. Come be a part. We've had some just fantastic listener feedback shows. Let's send this one out with a bang. Look forward to hearing from you.
Good night, everybody.
Have a good one.